Hello everyone, just going here and welcome back to not really building the Beekse Bergen, it's more of a progress update video. Talking about my day yesterday, because yesterday I was actually at the zoo, believe it or not. I was invited by the zoo manager to come over and talk and look at all the things that are going on in the park at the moment. I also had a talk with one of the designers of the zoo, which was really fun. So in this video I kind of just want to go over my day and talk about what is happening with the zoo and what this means for the future of the recreation. So to start things off, at the start of the day we parked the car all over here at the kind of staff parking lot, I guess. And we went to the office of the manager, which is over here. And yeah, we started to walk around the zoo. And me, being the nerd I am, first wanted to see this area because, as you may know, this is one of the few areas where I did not really have any reference photos. So I took a couple of pictures around here of the hay storage, of the fridge, all from the outside. Apparently these two buildings over here are two houses of people that are living on site for if anything ever goes wrong with the zoo, then they're there to kind of reach out. And yeah, after that we started making our way through the zoo to the new area, which is going to be over here. There's a couple of other changes around the entrance, like this little building over here has been taken down because it actually burned down quite a while ago apparently, so this actually isn't as realistic as it is being open. It's actually supposed to be closed. But yeah, other things included these trees, these birch trees over here have been taken down because they were getting too old, and that is not all that interesting. Let's actually get to the big stuff, which is over here. We have the new area of the zoo is being built. So this entire walking bridge over here is being taken down. So this viewing area for the lions is everything's getting demolished basically, and they're taking this kind of natural path, this green road as they call it, and they're going to be continuing that out all the way through here. So this asphalt here is going to be taken out, and this is all going to be part of the walking safari going all the way up to here. This little gate has been turned into a glass viewing area for the lions, and this is also being taken down because over here, right here, you are actually going to be taken into this little forest area. Here along the shoreline is going to be, well, not really a village, but there's going to be a couple of houses that have some education about black rhinos and poaching. Kind of similar, but I don't think that is going to be doing it justice. But to give you an idea, it's going to be similar to this little education spot over here, where you learn about how coltan mines are kind of endangering gorillas in Africa. And this was a bit of an audio-visual exhibit, and yeah, it's going to be somewhat like that, but way better from what I hear. There's going to be like audio-visual interaction, sort of education setting over here. And then as you move through here, this was all not very finished, it was just kind of a lot of dirt, but you could already, if you use your imagination, you could see what was happening. So over here at the old kudu stables, which sadly burned down last year, they are building the new black rhino stables. And there's going to be a black rhino habitat over here where you can walk past it, and you're going to be really much on the same level as the black rhinos. There's going to be no fences in between the guests and the rhinos, just a moat and some rocks, and it's going to feel like you're in the habitat with them, which is going to be super exciting. Also on the other side of that, where there used to be the habitat for the zebras, giraffes and all that, that is also going to be there, but you're also again going to be on the same level as the animals, maybe even lower than them from what I've heard. So you're really going to have that savanna feel of these large kind of stretch of land with these animals on it, and it's going to be it's going to be much less looking down on the animals. You're going to be on the same eye height as them, really experiencing being in Africa, so to say. So super, super cool. After that, we went back here for, well, no, not back here, not in the cheetah habitat. No, we went back here where a lot of things are kind of being moved around and changed. This is something that, as you can see, I have not even built yet. So, but this building over here is being taken down. This is the kind of shelter for the African wild dogs, which are supposed to be over here. There is a little cheetah area over here that's being moved. Over here, recently they rebuilt the cheetah habitat that's over here. Recently got replaced because that also burned down last year. Luckily, no cheetahs got injured there. But yeah, that is back now, so there will be cheetahs along the boat safari once again. On this side, there's going to be a second black rhino habitat, and from what I could tell, they're even building a third one because black rhinos are solitary creatures. So they're planning to have 2 rhinos, so they need at least 2 habitats. But when it is breeding season and they are going to be together and they do eventually get a child, then of course they're going to need that third habitat to keep the child in. But yeah, back here, basically what we're going to be seeing is they are replacing all of the fences along this side to just make it all look a little bit nicer when you are coming by from the boat safari. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. So going back to over here, the new walking safari that's going to be kind of going along here, where that is eventually going to lead is right here, just about. There's going to be a tunnel where the walking safari is going to go under the car safari, and you're going to end up right around here somewhere, basically. Yeah, right around here. You're going to end up at this little tunnel thing that is already here. This area currently isn't really being used for anything, but now it is going to be a viewing area for that safari plane, and you're going to end up right here to go about the way where the zoo, you're back to the old zoo basically. So that is going to be the new area. It's really exciting. I can't wait to see what it ends up being like and to build it, hopefully. Now as we move along here, there is one, we're gonna start with the bad news now. This is the bad news portion. If you've been in the park since the pandemic started, you may have noticed that the goat habitat has been taken out, and I've always been wondering if that was a permanent change or not, because at first the goats were just temporarily put with the zebu further on in the zoo, but at some point the shelter over here got taken out, and at that point I was like, are they gonna come back ever? And yeah, I asked, and no, the goats are not gonna come back, so this habitat is actually going to stay gone. There's a couple of reasons for it. First of all, they need the space for this food court that they have over here, so that people actually have a place to sit and eat their food. Next to that, having a food court next to a walking goat habitat where you can pet the goats is not the most hygienic thing, so that's also why they want to get rid of it. And the third and final reason is that they don't want to send the wrong message to kids. Over here you've got a place where you can enter the goat habitat and touch the goats and play with the goats, feed the goats, but you're not allowed to do that anywhere else in the zoo. But to a child that might not be the most clear thing. So to prevent children from wanting to enter other habitats, and also probably in the back of the park where you can enter the lemur habitat, they don't want you to pet the lemurs. Well, try to explain to a kid why they can pet the goats but they cannot pet the lemurs. It's going to be hard to do, so that's why it's actually better to just leave out this habitat altogether. It's a bit of a shame. I really like the goat habitat just in general. I have a lot of good memories with them, and also I really like the recreation of it, but it's an understandable decision. And that kind of brings me to bad news number 2. If you've been following the channel recently, you may know that we have been making signs. Recently I've updated all of the kind of signage to include the new font pieces that we got in the aquatic update, and we've been making all sorts of signs, going into extreme detail, even recreating the animals themselves. And if you go to the back of the park, you get an idea of just how many signs those are. We have all sorts of animals, information signage, signage for the boat safari, signage for birds, signage for staff areas. Just you think of it and it's there is signage for it. Which you might see where this is going. And the zoo manager was like afraid to tell this to me. But yeah, the zoo is going to be redoing all of the signage to kind of give it a fresh new look and have everything up to the same kind of style. So that was a big one, because we literally spent the past month or two just making signs, pretty much. And now that is kind of all for nothing. It's never all for nothing. Like, we have the workshop item of these signs that is very popular and people are really happy with. So even that is already not a waste. But it still kind of sucks. Don't worry, I have kind of made up my mind what I'm gonna do with this situation right now. What I'm gonna do is, because we are currently kind of at a point where it's becoming more and more apparent that trying to keep up with the zoo is just kind of not really working, especially now that a lot of big changes are coming. I'm gonna have to put so much effort into constantly changing the same things that the zoo are changing, that it's really difficult to keep up. Basically, I have set a goalpost that is constantly moving further and further along. So anytime I get closer to my goal of completing the park, that goalpost just shifts further away because something changes again. And I think that is not a very nice way to approach a project, because it's kind of demotivating when you feel like you should be getting closer to your goal, but it's actually getting further away from you. So what I'm actually going to be doing for the time being is fix my goalposts. I'm gonna set my goalpost in a fixed position, which is going to be the pre-corona version of the zoo, basically. So it's gonna be the version of the zoo before corona was a thing, which means that I can do stuff like put back this willow tree over here, which I was always a very big fan of. Because yeah, that was there before corona. I feel like I actually should make it a different tree, because this one is a little bit big, but stuff like that. So I'm not gonna revert all the updates I did in the time of the pandemic, like things like trees that have been cut down during that time and I updated. I don't really mind too much. But yeah, we are going to be keeping the signage and the goat habitat. That's basically the main two things that I want to keep for now. And then once we finish the pre-corona zoo, basically, that's when we're going to be looking into sort of a season 2, where we are going to be updating the zoo to all of the new changes, which by the time we're done with that, the entire Black Rhino area is probably going to be finished, so we'll be able to build that in its full glory, so to say. There are a couple of downsides to kind of choosing to do the pre-corona zoo, and the main thing is that if I want more reference photos of that time, I don't have them. For example, one of the changes that I noticed right away when I got to the zoo is that they removed all of these small waypoint signs. They were very outdated. It was part of a small interactive game you could basically play, and they've been a huge point of confusion to a lot of guests, and also guests in my version of the zoo. Nobody really understood what the waypoint signs were for, And I don't blame them, they were very confusing. So it's kind of good that they're gone, but yeah, since I'm building the pre-corona zoo, I want to keep them for now. But the problem is I don't know all of them, what they were. So yeah, I'm gonna have to just make it up, I guess, which isn't great, but it doesn't matter that much. But I think this is a very important step for the recreation project, basically, that I have kind of have a fixed goal in mind. This is what we're gonna do, and I'm just gonna be working towards that goal, and I'm gonna stop forever changing stuff, hopefully. Sure, I'll always want to change stuff when I want to make things look better. For example, over here, this shoreline I want to improve because we came up with a new way to do it back when we were building this area. This looks a lot better, and I want to do that along the entire shore. So there will always be small improvements like that, but at least I have an end goal in mind that is, yeah, stationary. But yeah, that's about it for the project itself. So that's this little update video. Rest of the day, by the way, was great. I had lunch at the Safari Resort, which I had never been. We had lunch at the Moto building, which is around over here. I haven't built any of the resort yet, really. These are all just placeholder background things. But yeah, I had to talk with the manager, of course, during the day, and also with a designer, Rick Merks, who can be seen in a lot of the older YouTube videos on the Beekse Bergen that I have been using for reference. So it was actually kind of interesting to meet him, because I had already watched so many of his videos. But it was really cool getting to know him and getting to talk about the design of the zoo. He basically told me a lot about how for a couple of years the zoo didn't really have a dedicated plan or designers even, which is when a lot of weird decisions were made, one of which was actually pointed out by Rudy Rankhamel when he toured the zoo. He was like, when he came over here, it was like, oh yeah, you've got your zoo stuff, and then bam, out of nowhere, tigers. What just happened? And yeah, Rick agreed that was kind of that's a really weird thing going on there. And there's actually, they're working on a lot of plans to create a very unified story of the zoo, which it was really interesting to talk about. I won't talk about it too much because I don't know how much they want me to. But yeah, their future vision for the zoo is actually super interesting in my opinion. What was also funny to talk about was there are a couple of things in the zoo that he's not very happy with. For example, these concrete barriers sticking out over here, and he was like, well, when you're recreating it, why don't you just fix all that stuff? And my simple answer to that was like, I understand why you think this stuff looks really ugly, but to me that's like the interesting stuff, like capture the entire zoo in this recreation with all of its imperfections. I think that's really interesting to do. And this concrete barrier in the example that he took, it's actually part of the reason I couldn't even change this if I wanted to, because of the way the terrain works. It's very difficult. But a funnier example to that would probably be the waterfall over here in the crocodile habitat. I specifically remade the fact that this waterfall is a little bit janky and you don't really have a smooth flow of water, but you instead have a couple of random streams. And when I told him that, I could just see the look on his face was like, oh, why did you do that? He just looked embarrassed for the fact that the waterfall looks like this. But to me, that's just the interesting stuff. Like zoos, like for Planet Zoo players, how do you create an interesting zoo? Well, when looking at a real zoo, you're gonna see all of these imperfections. And I think if you are able to capture that in your own zoo projects here in Planet Zoo, I think that really brings a lot of detail and depth and realism to your zoos. So that's why I want to capture that, because I think there's a lot to be learned there in making realistic zoos in the game. If it comes to designing your ideal zoos, of course you're not going to have stuff like this, but when building realistic zoos, I think this is just really cool stuff. Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling a bit. But I'm just really excited about yesterday. It was an amazing day. Basically in the afternoon, the manager had some other appointments to attend to, but since he would be riding me home, he just said like, yeah, just go on your way about the zoo. Don't go anywhere you shouldn't be. But yeah, you can just go walk around. So I basically went around the zoo twice. My feet were killing me at the end, but it was such an amazing day. The sun was out. I was just wearing a t-shirt and nothing else, which was also great because just a week before that it was still freezing. But all the animals were out and about and active and so curious. Literally, I walked up to the meerkats and they just all came up and greeted me. The baby rhino, Ravi, was out in the field for the first time, so I got to see him walk around and be a little bit too curious with the Watusi kettle. His mom had to kind of save his ass a couple of times, which was hilarious to see. I tried a little trick that I learned. When you face your back towards a lion, they will often come up to you because they see you as more vulnerable and prey. So I tried that with this one lioness, and she came up to me and started scratching the glass a little bit, which was really cool to see. It was kind of spooky because I had to sit there for quite a while. So I was on my phone just doing stuff, and I was doing it with the intent of having her come up to me. But when she finally did, I kind of didn't see it coming anymore. She was out there lurking for a very long time before actually coming up to me. So I kind of turned around and was like, oh hey, she's there now. Okay, let's get my camera out. But yeah, overall the theme of the day was really not watching animals, but being watched by animals. Giraffes, sable antelope, tigers, they all just were looking at me like, what's going on here? There's a person here now. So that was super interesting and fun. And yeah, I've been able to make a lot of pictures, having access to the zoo again. So I'll be able to build a lot more again. I've got references for this area. I've got extra reference for the Congo area, which I'm currently working on. So yeah, I'm gonna just be continuing building. I'm also very motivated again. Having been at the zoo always motivates me to get to work again, so that's always great. And yeah, when the manager let me walk around on my own, it was like the scene from Captain Marvel, where Nick Fury gave Captain Marvel a shield hat, like, oh hey, yeah, you're a shield agent now, they won't ask any questions. That's basically what the manager did to me. He gave me a Beekse Bergen mask, and I was like, yeah, only employees have these, so now they'll trust you. And a couple of employees did ask me, like, are you supposed to be here? But whenever I explained that A, I was let in by the manager, and B, I was the person doing the recreation, they all immediately knew who I was, and were like, oh, that's so cool. And so that was awesome. So yeah, all in all, really successful day. It was everything I could have hoped for, and I'm just going to be continuing working on the project. Hopefully pretty soon we'll be able to finish off this last bit, and yeah, also the rest of it. And then when that is done, we get to start on season 2, basically, which is going to be the newer areas. And maybe when season 2 comes, we'll start on the resort as well. The resort is still a very iffy thing. Like, I want to build it. I don't know if the game is going to like it when I do, because it's going to just add so much detail to the file. And so many more animals with these large plains again. Anyway, time for me to stop rambling, because I've been rambling for half an hour. I'm gonna go and build, and I'll see you guys another time. The upcoming week, I should say, my girlfriend is coming over, so I'm probably not gonna be streaming or anything like that. Might put up the camera stream every now and then. If that doesn't interfere with my roommate too much. I don't know if you watched the camera stream from yesterday when I was at the zoo, but at one point my roommate actually shut down the stream for a short time because he was having a lot of internet troubles, and my stream was most definitely the cause of that. So we are going to look into ways we can have the stream running without it interfering with whatever he wants to be doing, because of course that's not great. My stupid stream where I'm not even going to be present should not have to interfere with his life, basically. So yeah, hopefully in about a week I'll be back in action, making videos, doing streams, so I'll see you around then. Thanks for watching and have a good day.